We're here at the Eastern European Conference for 2025. I'm here with my friend from Freedom Alternative. How's it going?
I've been better. Thankfully, the cold hasn't arrived yet, so I guess there's that.
So I was thinking about what should we discuss this time around, and there's a big change coming on the internet from several nations that are pushing it, and this is the removal of anonymity for many internet users. And it started with Australia, the United
Of course
Kingdom,
it did. Yeah.
Canada, the European Union now. And the idea is
None of these places are real, so who cares? I mean, are we even sure Australia exists? I mean, it's just a CIA conspiracy at this point. So then there's that. Thing is that this will be very popular, actually. And it will be very popular precisely because the vast majority of users today are not the vast majority of internet users of the 1990s. Both of us are kids of the 1990s on the internet, right? We enjoyed the anonymity, we reveled in it, but that's not true today anymore. I don't know how kosher is to discuss this on your channel, but recently I finished adult content related project, let's put it this way. And during the project, I got to have very enticing conversations with various, I guess you would call them gooners. And the thing is that some of them were like Saudi women, technologically illiterate women from Saudi Arabia. You know, Saudi Arabia actually has no anonymity on the internet. And pornography is banned the way the most hardline crusaders in Europe and North America dream about. And yet, somehow, a technologically illiterate Saudi woman found her way into a chat room with me, right? So the point being is that she didn't care. I mean, at some point I was like, you do realize that I could just basically dox you, right? And she was like, yeah, and?
So basically, like, the laws exist, but they're not enforced.
It's not just that. It's just that the users of the internet of today just don't treasure anonymity the way we used to.
Because at the end of the day, and this is my main concern, like, I generally don't care about the adult content as much, but I am actually concerned about what happened during COVID. And I am concerned about what I'm seeing in the United Kingdom, where apparently like they have like 6,000 government employees just scanning the internet to try and get people into trouble. And
I don't think GCHQ has that many people. There's algorithms for that, but okay, fair enough.
I mean, maybe they will fire them and use more AI. But the thing is, what happens with people that try to talk against the system, or people that try to hold politicians accountable, or new ideas and stuff? Like, obviously, you can't algorithm your way out of a crisis. I understand that. But why is it that so many people that experienced the Jack Dorsey era and the pandemic, and they got cracked down really hard by the establishment at the time, why are they now promoting this idea of like, yeah, actually it's a good thing if I dox myself every time I use the internet?
Because they don't care, they don't treasure anonymity. It's really that simple. The vast majority of modern day users of the internet do not treasure anonymity. They don't care about it. They just don't care. That's one aspect. And second aspect, well, I'm sorry, if you're going to be an influential dissident, well, anonymous accounts won't cut it. At some point, you're still going to have to dox yourself, quote unquote, if you want to be influential and if you want to be taken seriously. It's one thing when we're debating some pop culture lore or whatever. Okay, fine, I can do that with an anonymous account. But if we're going to debate fundamental policy changes in my country, I'm not going to debate them with anonymous accounts. Not even I, and I treasure anonymity. But no, I'm sorry, let's meet at a coffee. I want to see your face. I want to know who the hell you are. And, you know, I would prefer that you would not be Russian. I'm serious about that. I mean, at some point, no, there are some limits, but those limits should be moral rather than legal, obviously. But the thing is that, again, since now we have an internet largely populated by people who either don't care or are hostile to anonymity, but most people just don't care. These kinds of measures will be relatively popular, of course, until some of the trade-offs as a result of these measures will reveal themselves. Then it will be controversial. But maybe by that time it will be too late. Or maybe not. We have
Well,
no way of knowing.
one example is you're familiar with Discord, right?
Yeah,
So I think already,
sadly.
I think already in the UK, if you want to use Discord, you gotta dox yourself. You gotta show your face or government ID, and it goes to God know what company, right? And apparently they got hacked.
Of course.
And so I was thinking, like, it's one thing when your username and password gets hacked, like that's bad enough. But when your actual government ID with social security number in your face and all of that gets hacked, like for instance in my country, I don't even know if that's a reason to get a new CNPL or
No, it's
social
not.
security number you're
It's
getting.
not.
Right. So now, like, if it's in the public domain and anyone can access it, and then they can maybe use an AI to get your voice and call a bank and use that in order to have access to your bank account. I, I guess, we're keeping kids safe, but like what happens when the kid grows up and is in a society like this,
Our people have the correct instinct of not giving it away, but they don't realize that they've actually already given it away by running their mouths over social media of what their birthday is, where are they born. People want to tell their stories online.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, it's the age of narcissist, algorithmically and shitified, narcissist-driven social media. There you go. There's their academic term, right? People want to tell their stories, and the more they talk about themselves, the easier it gets to dox them, right? So you want to convince that crowd that anonymity is awesome.
But like, okay, so if you're a scammer, for instance, right? Like figuring out the person doing that takes time versus like you go on the dark web, you get the database, right? And then you just take the phone number, you call their bank. Like obviously like having your ID in the public domain is a massive security risk.
Yes, but it's also not a new risk. I mean, the IRS gets hacked every 3 years. Right? I mean, there's very current actualized databases on the dark web. You just have to know where to look. Sometimes that even makes the news. I mean, you can just Google it, IRS database leaked, hacked, and you should see that every 2 or 3 years there's a new one. It just happens so often that I don't think these kinds of social media measures will add to the risk too much. Yeah, sure, it will be an increased risk, but not by much.
Do you think people will be annoyed? Because in the European Union, the law already passed. So, like, whenever you're going to want to go on Twitter, you're going to have to dox yourself. You want to go on Discord, you dox yourself. You want to go on YouTube, you dox yourself.
I'm quite curious whether this can actually be enforced in a way that is effective, even from the government's point of view. Right? Because if we learned something over the last 10 years since the internet got algorithmically and shitified, is that the path of least resistance tends to win. Whereas these measures are written by boomers who don't understand these things. So if you are to seriously follow their regulations, it's not the path of least resistance. And as a result, that can create a lot of problems. As we've seen with GDPR, now even the Европейский Союз agrees that, yeah, probably our idea of warning everyone about cookies was probably, well, how do the
But
kids...
they do keep the rest of the GDPR.
Yes and no.
A nice money flow.
Yes and no. I mean, it depends. We'll see how the enforcement changes. Now, to be fair, enforcement of GDPR is not decided by the European Commission. It's decided
local,
by every nation. And in some countries, it's very rigid, like in Germany. And in other countries, it's more like quite ignorant, like here, where it's usually lawyers that are targeted the most. And to be fair, the lawyers deserve it. So,
well, I did see like lawyers, supermarkets.
Supermarkets, the same thing.
Accounting businesses.
Yeah, but again, supermarkets deserve it as well because they collect an undue amount of personal data in an attempt to create personalized profiles of their customers. Sure, it's with the purpose of selling more stuff. But personally, I'm not comfortable with giving my phone number or my ID or having a person, even an anonymous ID with the supermarket. But you get this discount. No, I'm sorry, my privacy is worth more than €5. A lot more than €5.
My wife is really upset when I overload it. Tell me like, no, I'm not interested.
Yes, but most people, most people are actually like your wife. Yeah, but hey, why not?
5% discount?
Yeah, 5% discount.
To be fair, though, at least they give you stuff. We got like internet where you...
Yes, we get approximately jack shit in exchange for your self-docs.
I did see this in gaming communities. People don't like their data harvested anymore. There was this video game which was initially installed on the computer, but then it says you need to make an account with our PlayStation network. And people just told them, no, fuck yourselves. And the game was free. Like all you had to do was to make the account. People just uninstalled it. It was like a massive boycott. So there is the mentality that people are sick and tired of having their data harvested by companies.
Yes, but it's only in an incipient phase. I think it's going to be at least another decade, if not more, until you can see some critical mass. You have to remember that there is a demographic and generational inertia here. Right? I was telling you before we started filming that the vast majority of consumers of adult content these days are 55 plus. So, regardless of what the youngsters think, there are a lot more old people who are stuck in their ways. And, if they decide that they don't give a damn about their privacy, their sheer numbers will influence policy for a while.
I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? Like, if you're 55 and you're 1 foot in the grave, like, do you really give a shit about privacy?
Yeah, there is one explanation. But then again, those same 55-year-olds were the ones who were sending money to the Nigerian scam 30 years ago.
Sure, but like from their point of view,
technological illiteracy is compounding.
Like from their point of view, like they didn't have internet growing up, so they were more like from their point of view, it's kind of like getting a mail in the box, right? Like for them, it was like a physical thing.
Yes, but then again, the internet has been with us for more than 30 years now, so we should.
Yeah, but like the Nigerian scam is not something that would work now.
Oh yes, it does. It still works.
It still works.
It still works.
It's
astonishing. It's a further confirmation of my favorite saying, which is people are not stupid, people are fucking stupid. Because it's true. The Nigerian scam is a self-evident example of this should not work, but it does.
Does it work in our country?
Yes, although not as much as in the past.
Yeah, because like in Eastern Europe, it's like if you don't know the guy, they probably want something from you. So like it's a very low trust society.
Yeah, but it still works. Not as much as in the past, but it still works. Romantic scams are far more effective in our country.
Yeah, with catfishing.
Yes, catfishing, or I don't know what terminology youngsters use, but it's effectively women are the best target for this, actually, not men.
Really?
Yes.
I think I saw on Netflix, like with gigolos. And
yes. And women do fall for that.
Yeah,
especially women older than 45.
Yeah, like one that looked like Leonardo DiCaprio, and
and
is
Brad
now
Pitt
having is having financial difficulties.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we laugh about it, but, I know a babushka who basically lost around 30,000 euros off of a scam like this. And
really?
Yes. And, she only figured it out after she lost quite a bit. Because, it's a kind of hypnosis, right?
Do you think it's because women don't really understand their own value? Like if you have a man that's a 6, he kind of in his head, like he knows, I'm never going to date a woman that's a 9. Like if a woman that's a 9 out of 10 goes to a guy that's a 6, like red flags immediately.
Yes, well, that's an analysis that can work for 20-year-olds, but or even 30-year-olds. But with 60-year-olds, the situation is a little bit more complicated because they don't actually value physical looks that
sure
much.
But like if you're a 60-year-old woman, like shouldn't you know that a 10 out of 10 guy won't ever come up to you for romantic reasons?
People have a remarkable capacity of self-delusion. And again, most of old people, men as well, are very lonely. And, someone treating them nicely and talking to them nicely is something rare. And, with men, it's even simpler because, most men don't get a compliment for decades.
That's true.
Right? So, being treated nice can convince quite a lot of people, men and women, to get into a spiral of self-delusion. And, if you time your demands right as a scammer, you can get quite a lot off of them. And the reason I bring this up is because you brought up mass scammers, right? Where you just buy in a database but those aren't that profitable. That's something that the Indians do. No. The more professional scammers, they do targeted scamming. And targeted scamming requires at least partially manual sifting through the database and figuring out the correct victims or the most likely victims. Right? You can't mass scam in a romantic scam. You can, but it's not effective.
Yeah.
But if you do it by micro-targeting, and now they've gotten so good that you don't even have to be in the same country. I mean, there are Nigerians again, who run scams off of 3 or 4 countries of Europe simultaneously.
So they're better than the Indians.
Yes, much better, much better. As a coders as well, actually.
So anyway, to circle back to what I was saying, the way that the removal of anonymity on the internet is to be enforced is that you have like all of these major countries like European Union, France, which is part of it, but like the United Kingdom, Ireland, Australia,
I don't
Canada.
agree that Ireland is a major country, but
No, but like
then
all of
again-
them together, right?
Right.
And they're basically saying they're not going to punish you, but they're going to punish X, or they're going to punish Google, or they're going to punish Facebook if it doesn't have the robust age verification methods in order to make sure that every person that goes on their site shows an ID or shows their face. Do you think it will work?
No.
What will happen?
No, I don't think you can bully Elon Musk into this that much.
He already did it for
For a
UK.
while,
For UK.
sort of, yeah, but it doesn't really work, and they just left it clunky and buggy, and that's it. And apparently, that's good enough for compliance. So I can expect that,
Yeah.
you know, a surface level compliance, but I don't really expect to get. I mean, you have to remember, some of these companies aren't profitable, and the requirements are just too expensive. For smaller ones, it may be even cheaper to just cut off the European Union altogether.
Well, that's why the big companies are supporting it, because all of their competition is
Sure. It's a good way of cutting out your competition.
Yeah, the tallest guy in the pool wants the water level to keep rising.
Yes, although there are some limits there, like we've seen with GDPR. Some major publications just flat out banned all EU countries from visiting their publications.
Yeah, when I want to watch American local media, I usually get like...
Yeah, you have to go
this-
through a VPN, yes. Because why? It's not worth it for them to even give a damn about what the European Commission thinks. Now, of course, nobody told them that they could just ignore it. I mean, you know, what will the European Commission do if you're an
Well, I
American?
mean, I think like they can seize your assets that travel through the EU, and there are...
How? Because again, we were talking American local media or some small blogs in the US.
Do
What
they
exact-
have like financial laws with the US where...
you can't punish an American company existing in America for not observing Европейский Союз regulations. You can only do that if that company has assets in the EU.
Yeah.
You know, Facebook has. Meta Incorporated, whatever. They do have a headquarters here, they do business here. But you know, Fox LA,
Yeah. No, there's actually a lawsuit now with 4chan and Kiwi Farms where they actually sued the British government specifically.
in a
because-
US court. Yeah, it's a very fascinating legal autism there, legalese autism. I have no idea how it will turn out, but it's so funny.
Well, what if it actually turns out in the favor of the UK?
I don't think so. Because
Me neither, but like hypothetically.
that would mean that would have to be litigated all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would have to say that the First Amendment is real unless it pisses off our former colonial overlords. I don't think that will happen. I just don't think so. I think such lawsuit would end up in the Supreme Court. Even Ketanji Brown
Well,
Johnson would vote in favor of
The Supreme Court already ruled on the age verification laws, and they said that verifying the age of a person to get on a website is not against free speech.
Yeah, and it's true because all of
Yeah.
the websites are private, and there is no unalienable right to be on the
Sure.
website.
And so this is what Ofcom wants 4chan to do. Like they want all the anonymous users to show ID, to prove that they're over the age of 16, to use 4chan.
Yes.
And 4chan is basically saying, no, hold on, like this is a British entity.
Yeah, and 4chan doesn't have assets or a headquarter in the United Kingdom, therefore, screw you. Now, of course, Britain has the opportunity here to just block 4chan in the United Kingdom.
That's interesting because they don't do that, right?
Yes, but if they were to do that, then of course it would just happen the same thing as it happened with Pornhub. Everyone would just use...
No, I know, but like from a legal point of view, isn't it interesting that they're not doing it? Because like they want to normalize the idea that they
Yeah,
can actually
it's
dictate
not
to
in-
every website on the internet.
Yeah, it's not in their political interest to do so. There have been they've learned from the Australian lesson. If you remember, Australia had this thing with trying
Facebook, I think.
No, with Google, trying to force Google to pay
The link back.
journalists. Yes. and Google be like, yeah, no links at all to Australia, and they had to come back and apologize and say, well, I
Yeah.
guess no, let's try to
No,
negotiate somewhere else, something else.
I think like what they're trying to do is they use the adult to get their foot in the door, and then they expand it to hate speech, they expand it to misinformation.
That's certainly the intention. Now, whether that plays out in reality is a lot more complicated. If they had tried this 15 years ago,
It would have worked.
Yes, it would have worked very smoothly. Today, I'm not sure about the data in Britain because I don't care about Britain, but in most countries of Europe, the level of distrust of government is higher than it has been in over 100 years. It's not the right moment, if you're the government, to try to do this. And the more you try, the more you expand the distrust, and the more you expand the distrust, the more insane you have to go. Now, eventually, this spirals out into violence.
You think
Eventually,
so? Over the
eventually.
internet?
Yes.
Over like showing ID to,
Again,
to go on Facebook?
in 2014, Orban Viktor's only violent protest against him was because he tried to put an internet tax, which the purpose was not a tax, the purpose was an attempt at light censorship. And it was a massive protest and very violent, right? So, Hungarians are very peaceful people. They don't usually come out to protest. But piss them off enough and piss them off the wrong way at the wrong moment, and they will. Britain had riots as a result of internet trends. 2012 was mostly an internet fermented trend. This was long before it was fashionable to discuss about Chinese and Russian disinformation, and before algorithmic antification, right? It was a homegrown trend, but it started on the internet. Nepal had a regime
Well, I think
change.
this is why the government wants to pass this, right? And I looked at the recent decision from Australia. They have it, the e-safety commissioner.
This is a former Twitter employee, and right?
No, she's. I think she worked for an anti-porn lobby in America. I think she's making around $500,000.
It's
a year.
Australian dollars, so it's not that much money.
Yeah.
But
But she got from Twitter removed when Elon Musk actually greenlit it. The video of Irina getting killed on the subway, and another video where a migrant stabs an Orthodox priest in the eye. And she's like, well, these videos are unsafe. And they treated it like it's entertainment, like it's a movie, It's like getting an R18. Like it doesn't get fit by the Australian Classification Board. And so like these videos should not be displayed. And Elon Musk took them down.
yeah, okay. I personally don't care. And the reason I don't care is because the plebs deserve exactly what they're getting. If there had been so much of a controversy about this, then it wouldn't have happened. There was a case in 2023 after Elon Musk bought X, when he got in a huge argument with the e-safety commissioner in Australia, and in that case, Elon Musk won. Right, and
the Ministry of Enlightenment and Propaganda.
Yes, yeah, I think that was the commissioner that was a former Twitter employee. So there it was personal for Elon Musk. No, I fired you. You stay fired. You don't get to control things on my site. But whereas with this one, well, I don't know. Was it?
Well, it normalizes the concept, right?
I guess, but on the other, I can see both sides of this. I mean, we grew up with seeing live decapitations on the internet.
Oh, it's not because of the gore that they decided to ban those two videos, and it's like
no, but we saw a lot of fucked up shit on the internet, which we probably shouldn't have.
Sure, but like I guarantee to you, even if they censored, she wouldn't have liked it because of the political implications of the videos, and it came out during the Charlie Kirk assassination.
No,
and it was...
I know it was politically motivated, but you have to think about it this way. Regardless of the intent of the regulator, ultimately still the plebs get the final decision. And if you go to the plebs and say, oh, look, this is bad because they censored this video, most plebs will say, are you fucking crazy? Yeah, it should be censored. That's the initial reaction of the plebs. Now, I agree with you that they're wrong, but just because they're wrong doesn't mean that...
I guess I'm venting because my ideology doesn't get represented anymore. In,
No, it's not about venting or ideology here. It's that if we agree that the internet is this public thingy, and again, this is...
Which is what I don't.
Yeah, I don't, but it's a new thing. Because most of the time, having internet at home was expensive, and only those who really wanted it got it. And as a result, it was a de facto gate-kept space. It was only the craziest of us who were on the internet. Because let's face it,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how the modern internet was built. Most of the big people in big tech these days are also kids of the 1990s, of the internet of the 1990s. It's crazies. But now when you get normies in it, well, I'm sorry, there are more of them, and they will want things to be accommodated in accordance to the new majority.
Yeah, the problem is like I'm not against major social media websites being accommodated, but they want everything to be accommodated.
Yeah, well, when you negotiate, you ask everything, and you take what you can get, right? Because technically speaking, GDPR applies to my own small community, but in reality, it doesn't. I actually passed an audit by the GDPR authority on this. I took the test because I was just curious whether I should keep an attorney on that or not. Because in reality, there is the limit of every policy has a limit, a physical limit or a political limit. It's too expensive to try to enforce on every single forum, no matter how many LLMs you get and how many employees the GCHQ gets. Trying to police every single forum in every single language is not doable.
Do you think the AI algorithms will help with that?
For a while, but then again, they have so many false positives and false negatives, and they hallucinate that often, and they will continue to hallucinate. Heck, there is a recent study that if you feed an LLM social media slop, its IQ drops, right? So, and preventing that loop turns out to be very difficult, because once you release an LLM and you hook it online, it will necessarily internalize social media slop. So it's a situation of perpetual garbage in, garbage out. That's why I'm not that scared, as opposed to people who don't understand technology. I'm not that scared of AI LLMs being too effective or
Well,
yes
I
and no.
kind of can say, because I'm a content creator on YouTube and you are as well. But if you're looking at how it works now compared to how it used to work, back then they would
Gotten slightly better.
got it slightly better. Like they used to know for censorship, like they would scan in the beginning for certain words in your title, right? So like terrorism, attack, bomb. Then they actually managed to transcribe your video into words. And so like during COVID, it would look for words like pandemic, COVID, vaccine. And so people started saying the Fauci ouchie, the coof, the right. Now it actually gets context. Like I did this experiment where I made a YouTube video where I had the speech, and then you have like Gemini say exactly what you mean, even if you use innuendo, even if you're like implying. Obviously you can trick it, but basically if they want to censor people based on let's say Charlie Kirk's murder, and they want to censor everyone that's for it or against it or whatever, they can accurately target.
Yes. The thing is that it's always a limit on what you target and how far you're willing to go. We've seen this with the trans lobby. At some point, the targeting went too far, and it blew up in the opposite direction. Right? If you calibrate the policy well enough, you can get away with a lot of things if you're the government. But if you don't calibrate it, and most of the times the governments don't calibrate it, because it's not the smartest people that go to work in government, so eventually they will fuck it up. They always do. It eventually comes out in the opposite direction. The trans lobby is just the most recent example. The same thing happened with the religion of special needs. I mean, the reason I started saying the religion of special needs was because of the censorship of the late 2000s, when if you were there to discuss about Islamism, you would get into trouble. And not algorithmically, no, you just had politically correct mods of various forums and whatnot would just kick you out because
I remember
of that.
that. Yeah.
That's when we started getting with these, religion of special needs, God is great, but in Arabic, and all of these kinds of things to make it look very clownish for a moderator to kick you out because of that, right? The same thing on Playbit. On Playbit, most of the moderation is done by humans, not by automated bots. Still.
Do you still go on Playbit?
Yes, of course I still go on Playbit.
How do you suffer it?
It's a fascinating mental asylum. It's the biggest psychiatric facility on the internet.
I disagree. I think Twitch is far worse.
Twitch is worse, but it's not as big. It's not as diverse. There is only a certain type of mental disorder on Twitch, or 2 or 3 different types. But on Playbit, you get the entire DSM.
This is the interesting part because you come on my channel and I just say stuff like Twitch is a mental asylum, but here you have a doctor that can like diagnose. It's like, well, it's actually like three types of mental illnesses.
It's fascinating, yes. To be fair, I tolerate Play Bit better because it's text. I don't have time and patience to watch long videos of people whose voices make me annoy me, and especially if it's on topics that are just eye rolling. It's not things that I disagree with. It's just things that I don't care about. Whereas with Playbit, it's very simple because I just read it, I just skim it, and I'm like, okay, this is irrelevant.
What do you think about Pedo Sky?
Blue Sky, yes. Well, it's similar thing with Mastodon. When you create those kinds of places,
you attract those types of people.
Yes. Yes. I actually don't blame the creators of Blue Sky. I actually do believe them that they didn't think this would happen. They were warned that this would happen, and they'll say, yeah, but it doesn't make any sense. Yes, if you're a normie, it doesn't make any sense. If we've been on the internet the way we've been, it's perfectly logical. That's why it's very easy for the government to paint almost anyone who has concerns about privacy as a pedophile or as some sort of abuser.
We saw the French government go after Telegram, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, so you go after the safe manufacturer because like some criminals hide their drugs in the safe. Like that's...
Yeah, but it works, and the reason it works is because this is true. Again, vast majority of users
don't care about privacy.
Don't care about privacy. Who cares about privacy? Well, it's dissidents. Now, some of the dissidents can be very nice people, but a lot of the dissidents are criminals. It just is what it is.
No, but like I'm wondering how people managed to go through the pandemic. They went through the Jack Dorsey era of Twitter, and they come out of all of that and say, yeah, privacy doesn't matter, you know, like the government is for my well-being.
Yes, well, to be fair, the Jack Dorsey era Twitter that didn't have that many users, so then there's that. It's actually as a percentage of internet users.
Do you think there's more people on X now?
Yes, there certainly are more people on X
How do you
now.
know? Like they could be bots?
Well, some of them are bots, but certainly I can access officials of countries that didn't used to be on old Twitter, right? So based on that alone, it will have to necessarily have more people. Now, even our journalists in Romania now are all on Twitter. They didn't used to be.
I hate it.
Yeah. No, I don't like it either.
Every single day, it's like the 5 minutes of hate of the fucking Georgescu. Like, dude, just shut the fuck up. It's like my taxes are going up. Have you seen the price of bread? And they're like, oh, you know, like Georgescu was such a bad man and he was with the Russians. Like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's why I'm saying that there are more people.
Like, tell me who you want me to vote for so I can vote for the other guy.
That's your only role there. But yeah, so I think X has more people. So Jack Dorsey era of Twitter, as annoying as it had a limited impact on the internet. But the pandemic, yes. But even with the pandemic, we have to remember that most countries were not Australia. Most countries were not France. In most places, there wasn't actually that much censorship or that much tyranny, right? Most of the world actually went through the pandemic the way Sweden did, which is, whatever.
I mean,
kind of bad, but
I mean, here in Iași,
and even within countries, there were differences.
Yeah.
Right? In Iași, people cared a lot less than they cared.
In the beginning, no. Like, I actually had to go with paperwork. Like, I had to
Yeah,
write...
sure. But after that, nobody really cared.
After that, it was a lot more chill. But still, it's...
Annoying, yes.
The fact, you know, the audacity there.
Sure. Annoying, yes. But nowhere near as bad. I mean, Australia was a straight-up open-air prison. Right, New Zealand as
Germany,
well. Yeah, Germany depends on the Bundesland. North Rhine-Westphalia very bad. The one around
the United Kingdom. Oh,
yeah, the UK as well. But then again,
Tier 75 lockdown.
Yes, and to be fair, the honkiest thing with the pandemic was, I think it was in New Zealand, where they arrested someone
for food, for smuggling
for
food,
KFC contraband.
No, the honkiest thing was Israel, because like there was the only nation that protested for.
Yes.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yes, well, you know, Israel is always a very special mental asylum.
It's like, why can't we be like all the other kids? You know, they're locking down over there, and why?
Yes, because, you know, they probably look at the meme and say, hey, we're a cube. Why does this happen? We want to be a country ball as well. But no, seriously, with the pandemic, you do have a point that more people should have learned of that, and more people did. But probably your expectation is that a lot more should have. Whereas I'm more pessimistic, because again, I sincerely believe that most people are not stupid. Most people are fucking stupid. So I'll take what is possible. There are far more people concerned about privacy and medical freedom today than they were in 2019. A lot more. It's no longer controversial, even in very normie circles, to have questions and doubts and express even open hostility to the medical profession. It's a lot more common than it was in the past. I'll take that win.
Yeah.
Whilst also being very cognizant of the fact that most people did not learn the privacy aspect that well.
Aren't we going towards the Chinese system at this point?
No. And by the way, the Chinese system is not exactly
Like,
how
for
you think
example,
it is.
I saw it in Australia that if a parent lets his kid use the computer, then the parent ID gets flagged and he gets banned from it. Because, like, take into account, if you have to use your ID to log on to social media, right? If they flag your ID, now you can log anywhere. And your ID, if it goes with the digital ID, it's also tied to your healthcare, to your job, to your bank account, to all of these things. So, like, they can unperson you with the button in theory.
Yes, in theory, but then reality is always more nuanced than that. Even in China, most of what people think they know about China and about the Chinese system is from CCP propaganda. And of course, the CCP has every incentive of presenting its system as impeccable and functioning. In reality, of course, it's not like that. The internet goes down in China as well, much more routinely than people think. Power goes down routinely. Databases get leaked. Databases get edited, sometimes corruptly as a result of a bribe, sometimes as a result of inexperience or stupidity. Sysadmins aren't that competent there either. Just like everywhere else, again, most databases are not well protected. This is true in China. This is true everywhere else. There's still the case, just like it was many years ago last time I was into China was at the beginning of this system. And then it was actually pretty much up front. You could find it the newspaper kiosk. You just pay a few yuans to get a QR code for a party official, and there you go. You just do whatever the fuck you want. It was valid for like 24 hours, 48 hours, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's still the case today, except today the vendors no longer have to take the risk of selling it at kiosks. They'll sell it straight up on your phone, right? Or via either Telegram channels or WeChat or whatever. So there's plenty of ways to go around it, and plenty of ways that it's dysfunctional because it's poorly built. And that's in China, where there is the entire state
That tries to, yeah.
tries to. Now, transport that into Europe, where the government changes all the time, where you have so much bigger ideological diversity within the deep state, not to mention within parliaments, and then, some random judge can cancel the entire policy or suspend it, or, good luck getting any coherence in that.
Well, the way they're doing it is they're putting pressure on the big four, right? The Google, the Facebook, and they're also putting pressure, like, for instance, on websites like GoDaddy or the internet infrastructure, right? It's like, this website is not compliant, you gotta take it down.
Yes, but even that has a lot of limits. We've seen a lot of those limits cracking over the last decade. It would have been much easier 15 years ago. Now it's a bit too late. The cat is kind of out of the bag, and we're probably not going to see a hyper-centralization or a re-balkanization of the internet. What we'll probably see is a fork. Those of us who like the internet the old-fashioned way will keep on building our own internet, and it will be very different from the mainstream one. And the mainstream one will be a little bit more centralized than today, barring the necessary honks and the necessary incompetence that will lead to a lot of accidents, like the most recent internet blackout where I think X and Meta were not accessible. Cloudflare always gets some fucked up shit. Like Facebook itself deleted itself from the internet 2 years ago. These things happen. There's no such thing as perfect computer infrastructure, imperfect digital measures. They just don't exist.
So the last thing that I want to ask, your favorite topic, the United Kingdom. I'm like, you came here last year and you tell me that it's going bananas, and I was like, come on, it's like, it's a prestigious country. It used to be an empire and blah, blah, blah.
It was. Well, Iran was a prestigious country. It's, it's the hair of the Persian Empire.
And now that I'm seeing what's happening in the United Kingdom, I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
No, it's going to get worse.
You think it's going to get worse? What do you think will happen after the next elections, after Labour?
We'll see when those next elections will be. Unlike Romania, it's actually easier to cancel elections in Britain or refuse to hold elections.
Because that's what I'm thinking. Like, there is no way that he is that arrogant unless he knows he's going to win.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, Keir Stalin has a long history of arrogance that he can't back up. But let's say technically the next elections should be in 29, I think, right?
I think,
At the latest,
yeah.
right? Okay, let's say in 29 Farage and Reform wins the election. Okay, that's very likely, actually.
Really, you think Farage can?
Yes. And then what?
They have an entire bureaucratic system that's the civil service.
There are very few civil servants, right, part of their deep state, who are Eurosceptic or who value any form of liberty, of civil liberties. And, even Farage himself is not a big fan of civil liberties. Even
I noticed this. I noticed that right-wingers now in the UK, like I expected them to be for freedom after enduring all that shit.
no,
No, they're still for totalitarianism. It's just,
just
like
my version of
yeah, my
totalitarian.
version. And they actually spoke to me in the comments section and said, "Oh, I'm still childish and I still have like my beliefs and I didn't grow up like Sargon did." And I'm like, okay, but I don't feel like growing up means thinking that the government is the solution to the problems because like.
Well,
The government itself is the problem.
part and parcel of the post-religious present, right? People need a religion, and the government is their religion.
I mean, I keep saying like Jesus doesn't have access to CCTV and AI algorithms, but the government does, right? So
Yeah, pretty much. No, I think it will continue to get worse because a nation is its people. And if its people do not want something else, well, guess what? They will not get something else.
my assessment of the problem is the welfare state, number one, and the culture of safetyism.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, the welfare state at least has a theoretical limit. At some point it does.
It collapses.
Yes.
Yes. There's not
But
enough cash.
safetyism has no limit.
Yeah.
Safetyism is not a project, is a movement.
I saw this in Australia because like it's almost every single Anglospheric country that's except the US because
Except
they
the
have
US,
the
yeah.
constitution.
And also because the US has a different genetic background, the craziest people. Yeah, I'm serious. The United States is a fundamentally extremist nation in both directions, both lovely ones and terrifying ones.
Yeah.
Because
And they think in binary.
yes,
But anyway, my point was
Australia is non-binary.
I, look. I was seeing this chick in Australia. She's probably a right-winger, and she tried to push a legislation to ban the burqa. Didn't pass. So she goes into the Australian government wearing the burqa. And they freak out, and they were like, it's not safe! It's not safe! And that's when it clicked. This is the new religion.
Yes.
It's not equality,
No.
like it used to be. It's not even equity anymore.
No, it's
safetyism.
Yes.
It's not safe.
Yeah.
It's like, they throw it at something like, okay, she's dressing wearing a burqa. Like, what do you mean it's not safe? It goes against the bureaucracy.
Now,
That's
to be
what
fair,
is.
it is not safe because you have no idea who's behind that burqa, and you have.
Oh, you could see that it's her body shape, so it's.
Yes, but that she also has some extra device that tends to be triggered after you say God is great in Arabic. I don't know. I mean, I actually agree with the law enforcement here that burqas in public are not safe. But
Right. But like the safetyism, it's in every single Anglospheric country. It's like the mentality now. Like we need to make the internet safe for children. We need to make healthcare that's safe. Make safety for immigrants, safety on the streets, safe. And it's like, and it's up to the government to do it.
well, if I were to go full extreme here, I'll say we need a war. War cures people of safetyism remarkably fast.
But don't we have one over the border?
No, we need one here.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like if you look at history, that does change ideology. It changes economic policy. It
Yes,
changes.
and it usually reassesses significant minorities, if not an outright majority of the plebs, reassesses them back to reality-ish. Sure, they still retain some crazy ideas from before the war, but a lot fewer of them and far more tamed. Because, it's easy to believe in safetyism when nothing really serious happens. It's a lot more difficult to be very much concerned about the safety online when things are blowing up.
So basically, where do you think like UK will go? I don't think like Farage necessarily will win. He needs like 50 plus 1% of the, probably even more, because they have like first to the post nonsense.
Yeah, but first past the post, actually, you could get 60% majority in the House of Commons with 30% of the votes. It's a very honky system in reality. And if he manages to win some of these marginal seats, and he's been very successful so far at eating out of both Labour and Tory constituencies. So if you can keep up that level of eating their votes, no, I think he can become prime minister.
I think that you're right in the part that Labour and Tories are probably out for the first time in how many years?
Yeah, the Lib Lab coalition, as it was called back in the days of the Brexit debates, is, well, dying out.
Yeah. And I think
another one will take its place.
You're
yes.
going to probably have the Lib Dems and the Greens.
Yes, and a different version of Labour and Tory will also pop up. Maybe even with the same emblem, but very different faces. There will be a different coalition. To zoom out even more, we're living in 1968. Right? In 1968, there was an enormous amount of pressure on the political, post-World War II political classes. Started in France, but then expanded everywhere. Heck, even here in communism, we had 68ers, right? Almost every country in the world that was not totally war-torn and not excessively poor had a 68er movement. Mm-hmm. Now, the 68ers won. It took them another 10 years until they actually got into power. But until today, almost every single country in the world is ruled by a 68er. Almost.
And what is a 68er?
It's people who are around between the ages of 18 and 25.
No, like what was their ideology?
Well, it was mostly student revolutionary, so kind of leftism, but also managerial, right? And the 68ers are now very old, and their disciples are also very old. They're physically dying. Well, probably they won't be called the 25thers or the 26thers, but what you're seeing now with seemingly coordinated, but they're really not, protests in Madagascar, Morocco, Mexico, Nepal, Serbia.
Yeah. What are they protesting against?
Well, they don't have much in common.
The Zoomer protests.
They don't have much in common. Even the Zoomer part is debatable because, in Nepal, actually, most of the heavy lifting was done by the millennials, but whatever. No, the only thing that they have in common is like, fuck these old geezers who just failed. Mm-hmm. And if you look closer, a lot of the old geezers that are against are either, they are the 68ers themselves or disciples of the 68ers.
And what do they want to replace it with?
Well, good luck with that. Depends on the country. In Nepal, they wanted something that is less restrictive economically. In Mexico, they want more Gibbs. In Madagascar, they want anything that's not the socialism that they have now, right? In Morocco, they want more social liberty, but also more economic socialism. It depends. The only thing that they really have in common is that an opposition to the post-68 consensus.
So to circle back to the UK, if you see Farage winning...
yeah, people probably win. Or
do you see any changes,
no.
like at least on immigration, shutting down the borders?
No, because there is no consensus within the British deep state to leave the European Court of Human Rights. And since they have an obsession of being to the letter of procedure, the European Court of Human Rights will not revise its decisions on immigration before 2030. Eventually they will. There is an entire separate discussion within the countries of ECHR to remove that authority from the European Court of Human Rights. That project will succeed, but not within 5 years. It will take 7 or 8 years. And, in the meantime, countries like Denmark or Czechia or Romania, we're like, yeah, we're going to act as if we already won, so we can repel immigration now. But in Britain, they won't do that because the deep state there says, well, there is no final decision. We don't have a license to do that. Therefore, let the vote.
Yeah, a lot of people in the UK, they don't understand how power works. Yeah. Like they think if Farage signs a document, then everything just happens.
No.
And it gets sued in courts. It's
a lot more complicated than that. And because the British state is built as such to be very rigid with its procedure, I don't think they'll stop the boats anytime soon. And we have to remember, it's not just the deep state. It's a lot of regular people who genuinely believe...
Genuinely want it,
yeah. Yeah, they genuinely believe that it's evil to try to stop the boats. That's their sincere belief. Anyway, governing over those people will require some compromise. It will require some fine-tuning. It's not that easy. I wish it were.
Do you think the welfare can collapse and then things change?
No, on immigration, no, it won't change. The two are not connected.
But when does it stop? Because there has to be a point where...
Every country seems to have a different breaking point. In Sweden, the welfare state collapsed in 1991, but the immigration stopped only in 2022. So
now it's not going anymore?
Not that much as in the past. It's very difficult to immigrate to Sweden now if you're from outside of the EU. But that's a very recent thing.
What about the grift that they're saying, oh, you need digital ID to get a job?
Uh, there have been multiple attempts in the last decade to try to introduce a national ID in Britain. So far, most of them failed. Maybe this one will succeed. Maybe this one will fail. This one will probably fail on a technicality because the ID itself is produced by a private company.
That's tied to
yes, yeah, and
the
that's
conflict of interest there, yeah.
yeah. That's how I would sue it if I were a privacy activist in Britain. But thank God I was not born in Britain and I don't have to care. Yeah, no, seriously, because when we were kids, older the boomers were telling us that we're unlucky to be born in Eastern Europe. I disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree. No, thank God I wasn't born, especially in Britain or that conspiracy theory called Australia.
I actually did want to be in Britain when I was growing up. And now that I'm looking at the situation, I'm like, you know what?
I think I told you the story. When I was learning English in the early 1990s, my English teacher told me a joke. The joke was as follows. Two English gentlemen randomly meet each other in London. That was the joke.
Because there are no gentlemen there.
Because there are no gentlemen, and definitely not two English gentlemen to meet each other in London, of all places. And this was a joke like in 93, 94. Now, of course, at that time it was slightly exaggerated, but now it's literally true. Right? So,
you think Farage will at least try to lower the taxes?
Probably. He has a background in finance, so he understands the economy definitely better than Keir Stalin and Mrs. Reeves. So he'll probably try. But then again, it's not the
deep
tax.
state, yeah.
It's not the taxes. That's easy, because there have been multiple administrations that have lowered taxes. The Boris Johnson administration also lowered taxes, I think, or at least tried.
Yeah, but then he killed the businesses with the pandemic. So.
Then there's that, yes. But lowering taxes is the easy part. Managing the huge deficits and keeping things somewhat balanced and functional, that's the hard part. While also maintaining all sorts of weird commitments and expenses, state expenses, that, sure, if it were up to me, I would dismantle them today, but the plebs like them. Like their national religion, right? The NHS. That institution should be torpedoed.
Do you know how
its very existence is illegitimate?
Do you know how I would fix Britain? Do you know how I would fix it? If I was... Remove all censorship.
That would not fix much. Trust me.
You think so? Like if people legitimately can say whatever they want online.
They already do. They already say it in
No, but
pubs,
no more arrests, no more...
That won't change much. Again, Britain has gotten progressively worse without censorship. Online censorship is a very new thing. Check out the old British shows.
Then why do they do it?
Because that's what they want. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's what most people, most normies genuinely believe. It's their religion. And dismantling that is possible, but it's not the doable within one policy or two policies. Removing censorship is great, but...
Okay, but if they were to vote for Nigel Farage, wouldn't that mean that they want a change?
A change, but not necessarily a change that you would like. Right? Because that's why I'm always skeptical of these hope and change candidates like Obama or even Trump or Farage or Marine Le Pen or I don't know, AfD in Germany or Magyar Péter, TISA in Hungary. Georgescu, right? Yeah. We need a change. And I'm like, okay, fine. Yes, we need a change. What's your idea of change? And once they start talking about that, I'm like, I'm starting to get a bigger fan of the current deep state. Because, I guess that because I'm spiritually conservative, as much of a libertarian as I am, I'm very much spiritually conservative in the sense that let's not try to make things worse in an attempt to make them better. If we can't make them better, then just leave it be. And that's very difficult. It's a tightrope, and a lot of politicians are not good enough for that. Now, Farage is actually a pretty smart cookie, and he's a very patient man. He worked a lot for his lifetime project, and he got it. So he's a
Brexit, yeah.
Yes, I mean he's a very smart guy. Definitely, even though I disagree with him on a lot of things, but he's a very smart guy. But even him, he cannot do everything alone, and the Reform Party has a lack of cadre. How do you fill in the bureaucracies? It's the same problem that we can find here with the dissident parties in Romania. Yeah, sure, we'll put you in government. And then what? How do you have enough people to fill in all of the subsecretaries and all of the state bureaucracy, the federal districts and all of that? Do you have enough people for that? I don't think Reform Party has it. Maybe they'll gather them in 4 years. That's a lot of time. But for now, they don't. Same thing, that's why UKIP imploded for the same reason, because once time came to actually attempt to govern, they realized that actually that's difficult. We don't have enough people for that. Because campaigning for Brexit, that's easy. Campaigning to govern Britain with that huge bureaucracy,
It's difficult, yeah.
a lot more difficult. That's why now at the European Union level, we see the same thing. That's why we have now like 2 or 3 different far-right groups in the European Parliament. The idea being that, okay, one group knows how to govern in that bureaucracy, one group knows how to that, and one group screams loudly. Now, if we work together, we actually do stand a chance of kicking Ursula out and governing the European Union ourselves. But then again, that's because the European Union is the largest bureaucracy on earth. It's larger than the CCP. Right? So governing that place requires a lot of people, numerically speaking, not to mention their intellectual quality. Can you get that? Well, I don't know. I'm skeptical.
The left did get it.
Yes, in 100 years. Can you do it in 5 years?
Anyway, thank you so much for being here. And guys, you should check out his channel. Can you...
Yeah, I think I still post on Freedom Alternative, if you can find it, because it's sometimes shadow banned. But yeah, no, I post things about cartels in Latin America these days.
That's really interesting. I'll also make a video with him now for his channel, and we'll be talking about whatever you're going to ask me.
Yeah, let's not say it here, because it gets censored.